Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Graduate Study Information Session organized by the College of Law, member of Hamad bin Khalifa University. Dean Susan, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Dean, and good evening. I'm Susan Carbonian, the Dean of the College of Law here at the Hamad bin Khalifa University. First, thank you for joining us. We wish you could be in our beautiful Minaretin building in person, but this is the best we can do given the current situation with COVID. It gives me great pleasure to introduce you to our unique law school in the heart of the Middle East, where international trade and investment, sports, energy, healthcare, and the arts are important drivers of a vibrant economy, and associated with that economy are critical legal principles and a vibrant legal environment as well. And so this evening we are going to take some time to introduce you to our amazing law school, to learn about the faculty, to learn about our courses, and to learn about the degrees. And you'll also hear about our admissions program, the admission steps, and the like. If I could just walk through the agenda very, very briefly. I'm going to first give us a bit of an overview of the college and introduce the faculty. And then after that, we will have a chance to look at the academic program specifically, and I'll tell you who will be guiding you through those programs and the like. And I'm delighted that we have Lana from our admissions office, who is here to help us with any specific questions you may have about the admissions process. She's an expert in this area and can answer any question that you have and the like. So for housekeeping, you will be able to ask us questions by way of the Q&A tab. You go to the three dots in the bottom of your screen, and you go to the Q&A tab and you click on questions to all panelists. My colleagues will be collecting the questions and be able to answer those questions during the Q&A session. So with the housekeeping behind us, let me just tell you a little bit about Hamad bin Khalifa University College of Law. We opened our doors in 2015, and we were the product of a strategic partnership between Hamad bin Khalifa University and Northwestern University Pritzker School of Law. And we have an ambitious mission, and that is to have the highest quality of legal education, or to be a world-class provider of legal education, to do so in at the international level, building an international reputation, both in terms of the subjects we cover, but the way in which we cover, with a focus on quality and innovation in teaching and research. Yet we have a very public focus, and that is to prepare our graduates to be active in building legal capacity here in the country, region, and the world. And so that's a pretty challenging mission, but it's one that we take seriously. We also have an important research function. So all of the faculty whom you're going to meet this evening are highly engaged in critical areas of research relevant to the development of the law in the country and beyond. So in 2015, we started our law school with a 3-year Juris Doctor degree, and that is a graduate degree in law, meaning that you have our students will have a first degree, a Bachelor of Arts, a Bachelor of Science. Some of them actually have, we had a student with a PhD in history come and do the 3-year Juris Doctor degree. And then in 2019, we launched our 2 Master of Law programs, or what are referred to as LLMs, one in International Economic and Business Law, and the second one in International Law and Foreign Affairs. And in 2021, we launched our our Doctor of Juridical Science, or the SJD degree, which is the equivalent of the PhD in law, with a stronger research focus. Now, we offer a dynamic environment in which you can prepare to become a lawyer with fairly small classes, a lot of engagement with the faculty, and endless opportunities, both within and outside of the classroom. And I think that that is one of the distinguishing features, is we are deliberately very selective in whom we admit as a student, but also we demand a great deal of them, but they are giving substantial resources while they're here in order to succeed. Yet, I think the defining feature beyond that, the real defining feature, is our amazing faculty. And our classes are offered from 4 to 8 p.m. And so today is a regular class day, so a number of the faculty are teaching, and I'm actually going to be teaching this evening at 6 o'clock, so I won't be able to stay on the line the entire time. And we're going to have a couple of the faculty who are joining us after they finish the 4 to 5:50 band of teaching. Okay, but I'm delighted that we have with us this evening my colleague, Dr. Damilola Olowi, who is our Associate Dean for Research and Chair of our Graduate Programs Committee, who teaches environmental law, energy law, and he has an award-winning course on entrepreneurship law. And then also joining us this evening is my colleague, Dr. George Dimitropoulos, who is our Associate Dean for Academic Affairs and the Director of the SJD program. Could we go back to the previous slide, please, so that we can have the visual of the faculty? Okay, thank you very much. And so you'll see Professor Dimitropoulos is next to Professor Hilary Bell there. And so he's with us this evening to talk about the LLM and SJD programs. Dr. Damilola, as I mentioned, chairs the Graduate Programs Committee, which deals with the LLM and SJD degrees overall, but he'll be heading off to class at around 6 o'clock. And so Professor Dimitropoulos, who teaches in the area of construction law and development, administrative law, law, technology, and intellectual property, and also has been teaching a good bit on legal research and writing at the upper levels for our graduate students. We'll be covering all of the LLM and of course the SJD program. He's the director of that SJD program too. And then we'll have with us this evening Professor Hilary Bell, who teaches legal research and writing, trial advocacy, negotiations, and construction law and development. And she also coaches our moot court team. She directs the JD program, so she will be here to talk about the courses and expectations of students in that program. Now, we have an engaging faculty, as I mentioned earlier. In addition to Professor Olowi and Professor Dimitropoulos and Professor Bell, we have Professor Ilias Bentikas, and he is on the left side there. He teaches in the area of international law, contracts, and alternative dispute resolution. And next to him is Professor Zachary Kalo, who teaches in the area of sports law, legal ethics, and property. And you already met Professor Olowi and Professor Dimitropoulos and Professor Bell by way of the introduction I just gave. But then we have Professor Eleni Polymonopoulos, who teaches in the area of global legal systems, media law and cultural heritage, as well as human rights. And then Professor Barry Solomon, who teaches in the area of constitutional law, torts, and healthcare. And Dr. Alexander Ezanagu, who teaches corporate law as well as commercial law, and has a portion in corporate law and entrepreneurship law, looking at taxation, which is his area of specialty, and construction law and development too. And then Professor Kalo Yip, who teaches international criminal law, construction law and development, as well as global legal ethics and advanced global legal ethics. And then Aisha Nama, she's a graduate of the first class who is directing the SJD colloquium as well as co-teaching courses with Professor Dimitropoulos in the area of graduate research. This is our faculty, and the faculty have degrees from some of the best law faculties in the world, including Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard, and Yale. They have a very busy research agenda. They're constantly producing law review articles and books on a wide range of subjects, whether it be related to sports law, sustainability issues, international trade, and investment, and the list goes on. As I mentioned, we're a fairly small school. We have 47 students. We have a substantial portion of the students are Qataris, so 64% of our students currently are Qataris. Yet we also have other nationalities, so it's a diverse faculty. So it's if I could say one thing about our community is that we are 100% dedicated to the learning experience. And that is the commitment of the faculty and the staff to making sure that all students get the highest quality of education so that they will succeed. Even if they don't want to become a licensed lawyer, they're going to learn skills that will be of value to them and also a value to society. And so with that, I again thank you for joining us this evening. This is an exciting time to be thinking about going to law school, what with a lot of legal issues arising related to the energy sector, sports law, related to international law, given volatility that is going on around the world. The fact that you are part of a generation out there that lives and breathes through digital technology, and that is fundamentally changing the way we relate to each other. And these are topics that we are examining front and center. And so I just hope you'll be part of our community. And so with that, I will pass the floor over to my colleague, Dr. Olowi, who's going to give some remarks about the graduate programs in general, but also then a bit about our alumni and some of the associations we have here at HBKU Law. Damilola, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Dean Susan, and good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome you to our open house. It's really great to be speaking to you about our programs. As the Dean mentioned, I chair the Graduate Programs Committee that sort of conceptualized this program and also admits students into these programs, especially the LLM and the SJD program. And in conceptualizing this, the LLM and the SJD, we wanted to establish programs that are world-class in terms of bringing the sort of knowledge that you could acquire anywhere else in the world, whether it's Yale or Harvard or Oxford or Cambridge. We wanted to bring that sort of international and comparative knowledge to Qatar and to anyone that wants to acquire this knowledge in the society here. And so we had that international and comparative approach in mind. And of course, secondly, we wanted to design courses that would equip our students to advance the Qatar national vision across different categories or sectors of the economy. And as the Dean mentioned, whether it is sports, health, sustainability, infrastructure, we have faculty members that have deep expertise in these areas. So, the focus of our programs, you know, as we go on, you would see, is to equip you with the knowledge to be able to advance the Qatar national vision. And thirdly, we wanted to design programs that would enable our students to be part of the society in terms of advancing international development. And you can see that some of us, as I go on, you'll see that graduates of our programs have really taken this approach, and they are doing important and fascinating work with international bodies and with government entities in Qatar as well. So, and of course, you see that we have alumni that work, you know, in ministries. We have some with the with Qatar Energy Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy, and of course in the private sector with Siemens. And of course that reflects our relationships as well. As you see in the next slide, you see that in addition to working in the government and private sectors, we also have some of our alumni that have taken the LLM and SJD and have moved on to study in other institutions to acquire even more degrees or to do research work. We have some graduates of our program have been to Harvard. We have some that have been admitted at Duke, some at NYU, New York University. Of course, we have a few of them at that have moved on to go to Georgetown University, and of course, the Graduate Institute in Geneva as well. Again, like I mentioned, that reflects our initial aim of developing graduates that will be able to advance international and comparative law across different sectors. And in the next slide, you'll see that our relationships at the college, of course, advances exactly these goals. Like I mentioned, for us, it's not just enough to acquire the LLM or the SJD. We also want to see that we're influencing the society. We want to see that our teaching research is being translated into the development and the clarification of different aspects of law. So we do have relationships with the Qatar International Court and Dispute Resolution Center, which has been really, really helpful for some of our students that wish to understand arbitration and alternative dispute resolution. Of course, our long-standing relationship with the American Society of International Law has also been helpful, thanks to the leadership roles that our dean has played in the American Society of International Law for many years. We've been able to build on some of that. We do have relationships with the Judicial Institute, as you know, which does a lot of fascinating work on sustainability as well and sport law. Our relationships, of course, include with the United Nations Environment Program. They've been really, really helpful in developing our environment and energy law courses, and we've had a number of conferences in collaboration and partnership with them. Same as the World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO, for some of our students and faculty that work in IP issues. That has really helped them to sort of apply their theoretical knowledge in a very, very practical way. And of course, we have the Association of Environmental Law Lecturers in Middle East and North African Universities, ASELMU, which was established and founded by our college. And since its establishment, we've been at the forefront of bringing together scholars in energy and environmental law across the region, and in helping them to mainstream and integrate the teaching of environmental law into their own law schools. So you'll see that we are a very, very practical and globally engaged law school. Not only are we teaching internationally, we're also ensuring that our teaching and research is changing the world. And so for those that want to change the world, there could be no better place to study law than at our college. So I will pass it on to my colleague to speak to you more specifically about what you would expect in each of these programs. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much, Dr. Damalola, for that wonderful overview and inspiring sense of remarks. I think Professor Bell is going to help us through explain the JD program in more detail, and I believe we're waiting on her to just finish a class right now. So if I could take this moment to ask you, Dr. Damalola, a question. When you are teaching law at HBKU, are there certain techniques or methods you use that you think perhaps distinguish the teaching style and add value to the students that perhaps they wouldn't get at other law faculties?
Thank you very much, Dean Susan. I think our aim is to I think one of the best things about our programs is the focus on the comparative approach. And by that, I mean, explaining to students what happens at the international level, making them understand the core fundamentals of international law, and then giving them the theoretical freedom to be able to apply it within their own context, within the context of the work that they do. So you'd see that all of our faculty members have acquired degrees from different parts of the world, so they are able to understand the legal systems in different parts of the world. I, for example, I have 2 master's degrees, one from Canada, one from the United States, and then my PhD from the United Kingdom. So that's 3 large jurisdictions right there. And of course, that is in addition to my original law degree from Nigeria. So you know, understanding 4 jurisdictions and how the law plays out in those 4 jurisdictions means that when I teach, I'm able to tell the students to compare the development of the law in these jurisdictions to Qatar and see how they can help influence the rapid development of the different aspects of the Qatar national vision. So I think having a global law school where you have faculty members from different parts of the world and with deep expertise of the legal systems in different parts of the world is what our students deeply benefit from.
Thank you so much for that, because I think that we are probably the most comparative law school in the world. We're in an environment, Qatar, the law has been shaped by the common law, it's been shaped by the civil law, and we have the influence of Sharia and the role of international law. All of that comes into into the classroom in every subject. So, in a few minutes, I'll be teaching comparative civil procedure. So we're looking at jurisdictions here in Qatar, filing of lawsuits here, as well as in England. We were able to have Christopher Grout from the Qatar International Court come into class the other day and talk about how lawsuits are initiated in England, as well as the Qatar International Court and the like. The second thing is I'd like to just ask you, and I know this, we're getting close to when you're about ready to start to class, but I think it would be a good question for anyone who's interested in our law school is your engagement in setting up ASELMU. You modestly talked about it being with the college. It clearly is, but this is something that was your dream. And the concept of building in Qatar a hub in the Middle East that would focus on a subject of relevance, and that is environmental law. Can you just tell us a little bit more about your motivation and the significance of it?
Thank you, Dean Susan. It's very interesting that Qatar has played a very strong leadership role in a wide range of environmental law themes. Of course, as we know, Qatar is one of the first few countries in the region to host the largest climate conference, the COP conference some years back. And of course, the focus on green building, sustainability, sustainable infrastructure in Qatar led me to begin to ask the questions: how can we ensure that Qatar's leadership in this area can be felt and seen across the region as well? The Qatar National Vision clearly talks about Qatar trying to be the hub for path-breaking research in sustainability and the like. So I think that inquiry led to this whole approach of trying to see how we can ensure that sustainability is then integrated into the curriculum in Qatar and across the region beyond. And that goes to that comparative approach as well, which is to look beyond Qatar and say what is happening in the region as a whole. And I think that is a gap that ASELMU has filled, helping to communicate. I always say that the solutions to environmental challenges can be homegrown and should be homegrown. The time for imported and pre-packed solutions are gone by. So I think ASELMU provides that opportunity to develop many solutions to many environmental challenges. So we've been able to, get that cooperative and partnership approach, which builds on the expertise of colleagues in different parts of the world. Our conferences and our events have attracted scholars from different parts of the region. And I think that homegrown approach to sustainability will soon be felt in different parts of the world.
It's a wonderful testament to the influence of our law school and, of course, your vision that this has blossomed into a network of law faculty from around the region, 50 plus professors who are involved. And if I could just say what is exciting is your engagement with students in this initiative too. So having every year at a conference, having students involved, but also co-authoring a paper with a student this year. So those are the opportunities our students will get if they come and come into our community to work with academics and lawyers who are at the forefront, and to be able to get a published paper and to be able to work with academics outside of our community and meet the amazing network that awaits of lawyers around the world. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Damalola, for giving us general overview about the college and particularly looking at the LLM and the SJD program. I'm delighted now that Professor Hilary Bell, Hilary, I introduced you a few minutes ago. I know you were in class, but feel free to provide your remarks about our Juris Doctor program. And as I mentioned earlier, after Professor Bell is done, Professor Dimitropoulos is here to give us more details on the content of the LLM and SJD degree programs. Please, members of the audience, ask your questions. If you have questions about the, not so much the admission, but just about the process of what to expect in law school and things, Professors Bell and Dimitropoulos would be able to answer those questions. And then we'll have Lana Osfor from the admissions office give some more information just about the admissions process, and she can handle some of those more technical questions and the like. So with that, Professor Bell, I pass the floor to you. And again, thank you to members of the audience for joining us this evening, and thank you to all of my colleagues here at HBKU for their help.
Thank you, Susan. I'm very excited to be joining you. Sorry, I'm late. I was having a very active negotiation class with my second year students. We're looking at how to do integrative bargaining and how to be an advanced negotiator. Just coming in on the end of Dami talking about his amazing initiatives in the environmental arena. I don't know if you've discussed that our Student Society has put together its own environmental conference that's coming up at the end of February, and it's really under Dami's leadership that's inspired this, but they're putting together a student-led conference on environmental law, which is again one of the amazing actions of our law society. The JD slides, Cynthia, they've disappeared from me. Not that I need to see my own picture because I recognise myself. This is the one, this is the slide I wanted. Thank you. Our Juris Doctor is a 3-year programme aimed at people with a previous degree in any subject. Your subject could be in law, it could be in art and design. My academic I worked with previously, her first degree was in costume design, and then she came and studied law. But we have a number of students who have studied law previously as an undergraduate. This degree is specifically designed for anyone who is interested in improving their leadership and their lawyering skills. The JD is a professional doctorate, so anyone who's looking to upskill, but their focus is not to undertake a research degree or a research project specifically. A JD will teach vocational skills. What do I mean by vocational skills? Skills relating to an occupation or employment. A law degree will give you leadership skills to improve your performance in any existing job, and is also a qualifying law degree if you wish to become a lawyer, depending on meeting the other jurisdictional requirements to become a lawyer. Lawyering is a craft. It takes time and effort to become proficient at lawyering skills. Lawyers are known to be excellent communicators, excellent at putting together information and creating solutions. If you do the JD, you will be taken through a progression of courses that will teach you how to do these things. There will be foundational courses. For example, our second year students are currently taking an entrepreneurship course where they're understanding how to plan transactions, how international corporations operate and buy businesses. But before you can do that as a second year student, you need to learn about business law, you need to learn about contract law and commercial law. So you will start with the foundation course and then move through your expertise to be able to put that information into practice in skills courses, such as transactional planning within the entrepreneurship course, or in dispute resolution, the course that this evening, where you take your substantive understanding of how the law works that you gain in your first and second semester, and then start to act as you would in legal practice as you work through your second year, leading you to the third year of your studies, where you will look at advanced subjects that are very particular to the MENA region and Doha. As Dami was just saying, it's very important to focus on information. A reminder, sorry, that I have this presentation. You work through subjects that are very important in the MENA region, such as energy law, environment law, global economic law and governance, looking at how trade law works in the region and in Qatar specifically, because Qatar is a hub internationally, healthcare law, construction law, media law, these advanced legal subjects that will likely be relevant to the area that you're currently working in. If you're currently working in Qatar, one of these will likely key into the work that you're doing just now and take you further by upskilling your current skills in your existing employment. Any questions about the JD, please put in the chat. Lana's going to tell you about the admissions requirements, but I'm going to repeat them just because we want to make sure this info lands. You will need a 3.0 GPA. That is a requirement. You will need to have an existing degree in English language or have your IELTS for the language requirements. There are a number of partial tuition waivers, but there's no funding beyond that. The most funding available is a discount on your fees for some students. This will be merit-based, but there's no actual funding that we can award to pay for your housing, for your living costs. You will have to make some contribution towards your fee payment. If there are any questions, please put them in the chat. I'm happy to answer them, and I'm going to pass you on to my colleague George.
Thank you, Hilary. That was a wonderful introduction into our equally wonderful JD program. So the JD program is the first program that was launched at HBKU College of Law, and it is in a way, you know, our flagship program. But beyond that, we have another 3 programs that we refer to as the graduate programs of HBKU College of Law. We kind of follow here, you know, the structure of a US-based law school, of an American, let's say, law school. So we have 3 graduate programs in the framework of the Graduate Programs Committee that my colleague Damilola chairs, and he discussed about before. So we have our Doctor of Juridical Science, the SJD program, our LLM International Economic and Business Law, as well as an LLM International Law and Foreign Affairs. Now, we'll discuss first our 2 LLM programs, and then we'll go into the SJD program. Okay, so our LLM International Economic and Business Law focuses both on the private as well as the public law aspects of business, let's say. So international economic law refers to international trade and investment law. International business law refers to cross-border international business transactions. So the courses are equally focused on those 2 broader areas of the law. So this LLM program is kind of heavy when it comes to courses, and it's mostly addressed to, in fact, exclusively addressed to candidates that already have a degree in law. So in order to be able to apply for this program, for the LLM International Economic and Business Law, you already have to have either an LLB or a JED. So, you know, you have to be a lawyer in a way already. So this program has, you know, 2 different sets of courses. It has foundational or core courses, as well as, you know, some elective courses. The 2 most important foundational courses are the research methods in law, as well as global legal ethics. These 2 courses are specifically designed for our LLM program. In fact, for this one, as well as for the next one that we'll be discussing in a minute. My colleague, Professor Damilola, said before that, you know, in designing those courses, we looked into what literally the best universities in the world do, like Harvard, Yale, Berkeley, etc. Right? But I've got to say, we even went beyond that because having studied all of us, in some of those places, we realized that sometimes you don't have the appropriate guidance on, for example, how to write an LLM thesis. Why am I saying this? Because an important part of the LLM International Economic and Business Law program is a thesis. It has a thesis component, a research thesis requirement. This means that, out of the, in total 32 credits, 6 credits are dedicated to a thesis. So while you will be taking some of the foundational courses, as well as some of the elective courses, such as commercial law, infrastructure development law, international arbitration, global economic law, and governance, you will have to, at the same time, start writing an LLM thesis. Now, this is sometimes a challenge for some, but we're here to help you both with a dedicated course on legal methodology, as well as writing and research, as well as other courses such as global legal ethics, which is taught by our colleague Kalok Yip. So the structure of this program, again, core courses that are specific to the LLM program, as well as a variety of elective courses to choose from. Obviously, all of those elective courses are in the broader areas that this LLM focuses on, namely, international economic law, as well as international business law, international business transactions. So this allows us to move on to our next program, namely the LLM International Law and Foreign Affairs. This is also a one-year program. It has roughly the same structure as our LLM International Economic and Business Law. Now, a main difference, an admissions difference, I know Lana will discuss about this a little later, but when it comes to admissions, this program admits students not only that have a background in law, but in some other disciplines that are relevant for studies in those areas, namely international law and foreign affairs. So, admissions requirements are kind of broader here. Now, as I told you before, the structure of this program is roughly the same. Namely, there are core courses, and there are core courses that are specifically addressed to our LLM students, namely the research methods in law and global legal ethics. And on top of it, there are required courses. All of the required courses are obviously focused in the areas of the focus of the LLM program itself, namely international law and foreign affairs. We are very happy, having launched this program a couple of years ago, and this has been a very popular program amongst applicants, because it allowed students to study the various international law and foreign affairs aspects or issues that Qatar has had to deal with in the last couple of years, and have produced wonderful theses in those areas, sea blockades, blockade, etc., etc., etc. So, core courses, as well as courses and seminars on international law, global governance, and foreign affairs, broadly speaking. So this LLM program gives an even, I should say, greater choice of elective courses even than the previous LLM program. So a one-year program, a coursework in the first year, and at the same time as in the previous LLM program, you also have to start writing your LLM thesis. Now, when it comes to the LLM thesis, you will have to complete it within 12 months from matriculation. So if you start in September of 2022, you're going to have to complete it by within the 12 months after having started the program. Now, the choice of the topic for the LLM thesis is exclusively yours. Obviously, you should feel free to reach out to each and every one of us that you think would have an interest in supervising your LLM thesis, to help you, further elaborate on the topic. But the idea, right, the main idea behind those two programs is to select a topic of your choice that you are really passionate about, and work on it on legal as well as legal interdisciplinary dimensions thereof. Now, as my colleague Hilary did, allow me to say something about funding too. while it will be discussed a little later. So the LLM International Law and Foreign Affairs, as well as the LLM International Economic and Business Law, do not have funding. We neither have scholarships nor tuition waivers for those two programs. This is very important to highlight. At the same time, as we're going to see later, the cost for the programs is manageable. I promise that. So we can move on to the doctoral program. So the SJD program, let us move to the next slide, Sandia, if we may. Perfect, excellent. So the Doctor of Juridical Science, or our SJD program, drafted again along the lines of the equivalent doctoral degrees in law in the United States. Hence the name Doctor of Juridical Science, or SJD program. So this is a program that I obviously really love. I love the other programs too, but this one even more so. I'm the coordinator for this program, and we've managed for the pandemic, etc., to launch it in July of last year. I'm very grateful to all my colleagues, the dean obviously, as well as Lana that is here with us, that we got the green light to launch the program. I believe that was late June of the last year, and we were able to put everything together literally in the matter of months. Which was not easy, because our aspiration for this program is really to establish a research community for legal and legal interdisciplinary matters in Qatar, in a way for the first time in the history of the legal profession in Qatar. So this program is a doctoral degree in law, right? It's the highest degree that our law school offers. And as I mentioned before, it has been designed along the lines of the similar doctoral degrees in the United States, SJD or JST programs. It is a 3-year program. Now, in order to enter into our SJD program, you have to either go through one of our LLM programs or our JD program. Why? Because this program is almost exclusively focused on research. We want students in the program that are in some way already, to some extent at least, seasoned when it comes to legal research, as well as the ways of going about the law and legal research in law. Okay, now having said this, and as Lana will explain a little later, in very exceptional circumstances, I should say, we may be able to admit students that will not have gone through one of our other 3 programs. Now, let me repeat that this is a doctoral degree, right? Whose the main focus of which is on research, right? And this also reflects in the design of the program. Now, the program is designed as follows. In the first year, we have very, very light coursework, namely, in fact, the advanced versions of the courses that you will have seen in the LLM programs. Okay, so advanced global legal ethics and advanced thesis methods in law, in fact, and advanced global legal ethics. Now, advanced thesis methods in law, in the same way that the equivalent LLM course, allows you to learn how to write an LLM thesis, in that case, advanced thesis methods in law, helps our SJD candidates develop the skill to write an SJD dissertation. Okay, dissertation. Now let us come to that. While in the first year there is very light coursework, you are meant to already start working on a dissertation, okay, which you will have to complete in 3 years. Now, what is a dissertation? A dissertation is practically, a book in law, okay? It is a book in law that will eventually be published with one of the most important and most prestigious publishers in the world, hopefully Oxford University Press, Cambridge University Press, etc., etc., etc. Now, having said all this about the coursework as well as the dissertation, there is one particular aspect of the SJD program that we're very proud of, namely the SJD colloquium. The colloquium is kind of a peer-led course that is, kind of the nucleus, the kernel of the program that brings our SJD students together, and our colleague Aisha Al Naama help them kind of develop their scholarship as well as their research interests on their own. So it's learning in a peer-led environment. Okay, this is what the SJD colloquium is. And while the coursework, it's meant to be completed in the first year of the program, the colloquium goes on for all 3 years of the SJD program, because the idea is what? To merge all the different incoming groups into, one true research community producing, research at the highest standard. Now, the choice of the topic for the dissertation, right? It's 100% up to you. So the idea is, again, to have SJD candidates in our program that are really passionate about the research aspects of what it is that they are working on. But we do help our students, and we know, we kind of nudge them towards 2 directions. Number 1, develop very rigorous methodologies. Okay, methodology is very important for the program. That is number 1. And number 2, interdisciplinarity. The idea is to study the law as it relates to other disciplines, such as economics, such as political science, such as international relations, such as sociology, etc., etc., etc. So, right, I guess that's it, but I'll follow again the lead of my colleague Hilary, and I will mention already that for this program, we have similar funding as for the JD program. While we have a very limited number of slots for that program, literally very limited, we are not admitting more than 3 to 5 students per year. For some or all of those students, it depends on the finances, we are in the position to provide partial scholarship, tuition waiver, Lana, a partial tuition waiver, namely, 80%, cover 80% of their tuition. So I guess that's it on my behalf, unless I may have forgotten something. I guess not, I hope not. So I believe that, right, let us mention this, very important. So we are a relatively small college, as the Dean has already said, with 11 faculty members, which includes the Dean. We wouldn't have been able to practically do, let's say, do little of our work without the wonderful help and assistance by Nisha Dougal, who is the executive assistant to the Dean, but literally does way beyond that, as well as Sandia Moniz, the graduate programs and special events coordinator, who is managing also today's session, who is the cornerstone of I should say at least our graduate programs, if not the whole college. So I think, Sandia, and correct me if I'm wrong, we are meant now to move on to the Q&A session that I am supposed to manage, I guess, too, right? So, right? So let us move on, let us collect some of the questions that we've seen here, and Hilary may already have been able to distill some of the questions that, she will want to respond to. And Lana, feel free to have a look at the Q&A box as well, if you wish to already respond to some of the admissions questions, or, we can take it up later, right? You do your first presentation first, and then we respond to the admissions questions. Maybe it makes more sense. Sorry. Hilary?
We do the Q&A and then Lana, yes. Sorry,
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. So I've worked through the Q&A and I've gotten quite a way down it. Well, I've gotten till 6:04. So will I answer the questions that are for the JD and then pass the LLM SJD questions to you, or will I just ask them? I'll answer and ask as we go down the list. Okay.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, so someone has asked the question. They have a 4-year undergraduate degree from the USA. They have not studied law previously. Which degree should they take? It will depend if you've taken one of the, it depends what the discipline of study was for your previous studies. If you have taken an undergraduate degree in a course that would qualify you for law and foreign affairs, is an international, a degree in international law qualify for an LLM in international law and foreign affairs, George, or do you need a law degree for that one?
For that one, this would qualify.
Yes, so if you've done international law, or not international law, international studies,
International relations, yes.
international relations, then you would be able to take the LLM in international law and foreign affairs. Failing that, the only degree that would be open to you would be the Juris Doctor, which is an initial degree in law. There was a question of financial aid. As stated, there is no financial aid available. There's a partial tuition waiver available for the JD, no funding available for the LLM. Someone has asked a question regarding the accreditation of the JD. The JD is accredited by the Ministry of Education and Higher Education in Qatar. It's ranked above a master's, just below a PhD, and it's recognised by the Ministry of Justice for the purposes of being certified as a lawyer in Qatar. There's a question about standard testing for admissions, and I'm going to jump in and say that there's no standard testing requirement, but you would need a 3.0 minimum GPA in your previous degree, and you would need to have your IELTS 6.0 or above. Lana, nod or shake your head if I got that wrong, or your previous degree to be
6.5.
6.5.
Yeah.
I am sorry, I have
No
misled
worries.
you all. You will need a 6.5.
No worries. I'll cover that. Yeah, no worries. No worries.
In your IELTS. Someone has asked if they have an engineering degree from Qatar University. If the degree was in English, that will meet the requirements for English language. Practice requirements for after you've done the Juris Doctor to practice in Qatar. Number one, to become registered with the Qatar Bar Association, you need to be Qatari. Then you would need to undertake a 6-month apprenticeship with the Ministry of Justice to qualify in the US. And this is background information. I'm not really qualified to tell you this because the bar requirements for the US, each US state is different. But for JD graduates that we've had that have gone and qualified as lawyers in the US based on their HBKU JD, they went and did an LLM in the US based on American law and then took the bar exam. So people have become practicing lawyers in Qatar with the HBKU JD and have become practicing lawyers in the US with the HBKU JD. What are your job prospects with a law degree? Obviously, you can become a lawyer, but unlimited opportunities. We have had people go to work in quite a few of the ministries. We have someone working as an advisor to the Minister of Foreign Affairs. We have had a lot of people go on to further studies. A lot of people have secured impressive promotions within their current workplace or have moved to a contracts department or a legal department. George, question for the SJD. At what level of degree is the SJD accredited by the ministry in Qatar?
Right. I kind of love and hate accreditation questions, because, I've got to say, I fear I have to say, they're invariably inaccurate because, there is no accreditation of degrees in the state of Qatar. Okay. So there is, in a way, accreditation or approval of licensing of universities. Okay, so obviously HBKU is a licensed university by the state of Qatar and the Ministry of Education. Now, what there is in the state of Qatar is the following: approval of a degree. Okay, and obviously our SJD degree has been approved by the Ministry of Education of the state of Qatar. It's otherwise, frankly, would have been able to run the degree without the approval of the Ministry of Education of the state of Qatar. So, once a degree is adopted at the university level, it goes straight to the Ministry of Education, and they have to say yes, no. Right? They've said yes in our case. Obviously, that's why, otherwise, we would have been running the program legally, frankly. So no issue.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Another question has asked, what program covers the local court procedures for family law? That's a course that we offer on completion of the JD. We offer a certificate program specific to custody courses. So that would be, you would qualify to take that course upon completion of your JD. Someone has asked if the curriculum covers specialised courses such as arbitration, sports mediation and construction law. The JD does, and most of these subjects, I believe all of these subjects are offered as electives as part of both LLM programs. You can check on the slides that we'll publish. You can check on the website for this or email me after the session, but 100% arbitration is offered in the JD and at least one of the LLMs. Sports mediation is covered, as is construction law and infrastructure development law. I actually teach part of that course as I am a construction dispute lawyer myself. Question regarding the SJD, George, is there a campus residence requirement? And are there any opportunities to do an exchange program and go and study at other campuses as part of the SJD?
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, Hilary. And I think, part of the same group of questions is the funding too, right? So I was able, to do my own, there.
You can read, George. This is new.
Yeah, I can. So we have a campus residency requirement for the first year in the SJD program. Okay, so if suppose you get admitted, you have to be here with us in the university and in Qatar, and taking courses for 1 year. Then for years 2 and 3. You're allowed not to be on campus, let's say. So in this case, the requirement to do the SJD colloquium will be waived too. So that's the campus residence question. So 1 year minimum, right? Now, do we have any exchange programs in place? So we do not have in fact, no, that's, we do have collaborations with some universities, such as, in fact, as far as I can tell, colloquially, Hilary, here, with Sorbonne, as well as we're in the process of developing one more with the Université Catholique de Lyon, their law school. So it's in the pipeline, this one, that will allow students of those universities to come over, as well as our students to go to the campus of those universities. What we do not have is specific agreements of the SJD program with other equivalent programs abroad. This is what we don't have at the moment, but we're definitely looking into this. And there was the question on funding of the SJD program. I hope I clarified this before. Namely, while we do not offer a scholarship, right, we offer partial tuition waiver, namely 80% of $15,000, approximately $15,000 US per year.
Just following up on the exchange, I definitely think we'll be able to organise that. I have coordinated exchanges with the Sorbonne in years gone by. We have good relationships there. I'm very confident we would be able to organise that. What we've done very often in the past in a similar way is set up internships for people. We've had students go to the International Court of Justice. We've had some hugely successful international internships previously, and very often that's been students-led. Students will come to us and say, this is where I want to go, and we've collaborated with the students to make it happen. So I would definitely think that would probably roll out in a similar way. Another question we've had, what the IELTS score needed for the LLM in International Law and Foreign Affairs, and I'm confidently going to say it's 6.5 because we learn best from our mistakes, and so that was right that time, right? 6.5 IELTS score. I'm so proud of myself. Another question asked, is intellectual property covered? My understanding is intellectual property is covered in the media law course. Is it also covered?
We have our separate course, right?
I always get the name wrong for. That's why I'm asking.
No worries. So we do have a wonderful course, called Law, Technology, and Intellectual Property. So, you know, the idea is to study intellectual property under the lens of new technologies, in fact. So, you know, we have created this very special course that, in fact, runs over 2 semester. This year I taught in the fall semester, you know, the part that deals mostly with new technologies, and we had our former dean, Dr. Francis, who came over from Northwestern to teach the part that really focused on intellectual property law, as well as its relationship with intellectual property. And it's very interesting that, you know, our friend in the chat box is asking, you know, about IP as it relates to the World Cup, because this is exactly what was taught this semester. Namely, you know, the students have to develop projects on the legacy aspects of the World Cup, among others.
Thank you, George. I'm still traumatized about the time I published the name of that course wrong. It's still stuck in my head and I never get the course name correct. We've had another question about funding and needs-based funding for people coming from areas where funding is lacking. There is no funding available from the college. You may be able to find available funding and scholarships from other sources and use that funding to come and study with us. But for the LLMs, there is absolutely no funding available. Halal's asking, can we get this presentation? Yes, this presentation, I believe, will be published. The whole recording will be up on YouTube, I believe, and certainly you can get a copy of the presentation.
Oh, I didn't know that. So,
I know they never tell you, right? I checked with Sandia after last year's was already posted, and I got emails about it. Yes, they like to surprise us. Regarding the LLM and international foreign affairs, how many students do we accept? I don't think there's a capped number. I think the only limit on that in previous years has been qualified candidates. I know we try to aim to keep class sizes below 15, but you know, there could be a bumper year. I'm sure we would make exceptions.
Exactly right, Hilary, right? You know, nothing to add. You know, roughly we tend to admit no more than 10 to 15 students for both, in fact, for both LLM programs.
One of the questions asked is, how much would a custody student need to prepare financially for the entire 3 years living in HBKU? Do you know, I've got figures on this somewhere, but literally off the top of my head right now, I can't think. Does anyone have that to hand, or is that something I could email out to the student afterwards? I'm also happy if you would be interested to put you in touch with an international student who has come to Qatar, who can also give you information on what the financial implications have been, because I can give you an estimate, but I can't tell you. If you contact me directly, I'm happy to put you in touch with a student who can give you information about that. I can give you my estimate as well. Other than local accreditation and recognition, are the programs accredited by any global accreditation body? I'm trying to think what other global accreditation body that would be.
Well, you know, let me take it up, if I may, Hilary. So, you know, this is another question that I love and hate as well, for the following reason, in fact. So, again, there are accreditations for universities, right? And, you know, our university, in fact, is preparing itself, you know, to submit, you know, the documentation for accreditation purposes to one of the most prestigious accreditation bodies. Now, there are no accreditation bodies, private or otherwise, for law schools, in fact. Okay, so even the ABA, because I believe we do have this question a little further down in the chat box, right? The American Bar Association only accredits programs in the United States. Okay, they do not provide any type of accreditation or recognition, call it whatever you want, outside the United States.
Someone's asking a question about bar qualification for the US. I recommend you go to state bar association pages and find out for the individual bars. I believe Texas, California, and New York would all be bars where it's possible for you as an overseas qualified lawyer to take a bar exam. It is not something as a university we would be able to advise you on specifically, but you should do your own research. If you're going to be a lawyer, you will have to become proficient at self-directed research. These are the places I would suggest you check, particularly the New York Bar, because we have already had graduates take the New York Bar exam. JD, number of days, weeks and hours of attendance. So the JD is taught most often, more often than not, Sunday to Wednesday between 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. We reserve the rights to have occasional Thursday classes and weekend classes, but it happens like twice ever, so don't be concerned about it. Slight lawyer caveat there. People at workplaces like oil and gas, regular business travellers. You know, we've had somebody that represents Qatar at the United Nations, and he was able to take this degree and attend the requisite number of classes. So yes, we have people that work in oil and gas. You should miss no more than 6 classes for each subject in a semester. We do not offer the option of virtual classes, but you may be able to come to some agreement with your professor. But as you know, the Ministry of Education does not give free rein to colleges to offer courses online. You know, there have been exceptional circumstances in recent years where the Ministry of Education has dictated that courses have to be online due to the pandemic, but that does not mean that courses can simply be offered online and still remain accredited by the Ministry of Education and Higher Education. Is the JD recognised by the ABA? It's recognised as an initial law degree, but it's a civil and common law degree because it's a comparative degree, so there will be additional requirements. I certainly know that there are also opportunities to take bar exams in Canada with some additional requirements. We have some students exploring that just now. George, have you had a chance to read ahead of any of the other questions? Because I haven't yet, but I'm happy to.
Right, you know, on this very point, I believe we should make sure to mention that, you know, one of our, at least one of our former students, right, you know, is now licensed with the New York Bar, right, you know, Amar, you know, part of the first graduating class, part of the first class that, you know, this law school ever graduated, went on to further pursue his studies, you know, at the level of the LLM at NYU School of Law, and then, you know, he sat the bar there, and, you know, he passed the bar, you know, the first time. I know he's a licensed lawyer at the New York Bar, right? You know, and, you know, we have another student that, you know, is preparing for this, and potentially another 2 students that are currently studying at Harvard Law School, you know, preparing for the same. You know, Hilary, there are a couple of questions, if I may, about the SJD program as well as the LLM program. You know, I saw one on, you know, how payment takes place. You know, I think I know how to respond to that. You know, if anybody, you know, feel free to correct me on this. I believe at the end of every semester, right, each student is meant to pay, you know, the equivalent of what they will have spent on campus. You know, so practically the total amount of the 15,000, approximately $15,000 US will be split into 2 and paid at the end of the semester. Now, if I'm wrong here, you know, I do urge Hilary or
that's my understanding, and I understand that if you get to the end of your first semester, you have to make payment. Failure to make payment, there will be a hold placed on your academic records. You won't be able to register for any further classes until payment is made.
Right. Now, we do have a couple of questions on the SJD program. Now, a couple of students, a couple of candidates are asking about, you know, whether, you know, it would be possible, right, while, you know, not having previously studied with us, you know, in one of our LLM programs or the JD program, to pursue the SJD with us. Look, the answer here is possibly, but difficult. Okay, you know, if I have to be very straightforward about that, you know, Lana will discuss this a little later, but, you know, our admissions requirements are very clear on this. You know, there is a clear preference, and you understand, you know, we only have 3 to 5 slots, right? There is a clear preference for students that will have gone through one of our LLM programs or our JD program. Now, for the ones of you that are lawyers already, right, you know, have a background in law, I would personally really urge you to explore the possibility of first studying towards one of our LLM programs in order to further pursue the SJD degree. Okay, this is kind of the normal trajectory that we envisage here. Now, unless you're in the position to prove to us that you have completed the research or otherwise requirements that the HJD program requires for somebody to be in the position to complete a program at that very high level in 3 years, then we will consider. Okay. Oh, let me highlight this because I believe I forgot before. It is part of HBKU doctoral graduation requirements that every student has in those 3 years to also publish 2 papers in order to be in the position to graduate, right? Practically, you cannot graduate without having published 2 papers. Okay. Okay, let's have a look at further questions. Have you been able to distill any further?
Another question, where do your non-category students go after graduation? So I'm thinking one of them right now is at Harvard Law School doing her LLM. Somebody's at Duke just now, two, but one of them's category, right? So I'm trying to distill into category, non-category. As George said, one of them went and did his LLM at NYU and is now qualified, New York qualified lawyer. We have a professor who, on completing his JD, is now doing an SJD at the University of Texas. Have I got that right? Certainly is teaching, yeah. Another was a professor who is still in his academic track, but is now publishing interdisciplinary. I always get inter and multidisciplinarily wrong. So he has now added law to his existing subject that he's publishing on. Who else? Non-category graduates. What are people doing? We've got someone who's in the legal team for the board at Qatar Foundation.
Correct.
Anyone else pitch in? Where else is I know we've got a comprehensive spreadsheet on this and I do speak to these people regularly. We've got one of them is doing the SJD now. Actually, several are doing the SJD. How did we miss that? Right, George, where's your brain?
Sorry. Exactly. Through three of our
graduates never leave us, right? Because we're still in touch with everyone.
Exactly. So, in fact, we have currently 3 students in the SJD program, all former JD students, and 2 of them, have no other, occupation, apart from, studying towards the SJD. Our 3rd student also works at the Qatar Financial Center. In fact, he's the chief compliance officer of Qatar Financial Center Authority.
So yeah, your non-category graduates are all flourishing, having completed the JD. George, someone's asking with an LLM in commercial law if they would qualify from the SJD. So without a qualifying law degree, with just a master's in law, would they qualify for the SJD?
Right, with a master's in a different, with a bachelor's in a different discipline and an LLM in commercial law, they would qualify. But again, I've got to add this caveat. I really have to. It will be a little difficult to be admitted. For all the reasons that have been explained before. That is just the truth of the matter.
Okay, do you admit students into the SJD from other universities meeting all the requirements?
I think I took it up before this one, right? Generally speaking, admissions are open for students that will not have gone through one of our programs, but the preference is given for for the reasons that we just explained, to students that already have a degree from one of our the programs of our college, in fact.
Okay, another question about the program whose name I still cannot get right. The Computers in the Law, as I like to call it, program. Does this cover privacy, cybersecurity, and AI? Before you answer that, I know that AI is quite comprehensively looked at in the health law course because that's an area of or particular area of research of Barry. But over to you on cybersecurity, privacy, and artificial intelligence.
All of them, absolutely. So, we have this wonderful course, Law Technology, Intellectual Property, that literally looks into all these aspects. And as my colleague Hilary said before, our JD program has, a very, kind of highly conceptualized, a way of delivery, right? The first 1.5 years are dedicated, to our, let's say more to the more dogmatic courses, but from a comparative and transnational perspective. Then the fourth year is dedicated to skills development, right? This is the negotiations class that Professor Hilary came out from. And the third year is dedicated to the sectors that are of relevance, of importance to Qatar, the Gulf, and the MENA region. Over there, we have identified, some sectors, among which new technologies is one. Okay, so this is why we've decided to launch 2 or 3 years ago the new course of Law, Technology, and Intellectual Property with a view to covering all those aspects that our prospective students is asking about: cybersecurity, privacy, artificial intelligence, blockchain, big data, etc., etc., etc.
Thank you for that. Law, technology, and intellectual property. Why is that so hard? I can do global economic law and governance, introduction to the foundation of the legal economy. I can do that, right. What are the entry requirements for the SGD in the sense of interviews or exams for the candidates before acceptance?
We do not have exams, but we do hold interviews with the candidates.
And what the requirement, this is just me adding this, is what is the requirement regarding your proposal?
Right. So let me ask, because Lana is waiting, is this time maybe to give the floor over to Lana? I believe it is, right? Because Lana will cover that.
Yes.
It
Let's
is,
pass
right?
to Lana.
I saw her waiting, she's very patient.
The IELTS score is 6.5. Thanks,
I'm going to mention that again. Okay, I'm ready. Good evening, everyone. So nice to see so many of you on here. My name is Lana. I work in the Office of Enrollment at Hamad bin Khalifa University. We oversee admissions for all the graduate as well as the undergraduate program at HBKU. But today I'm going to be talking specifically about admission requirements for the law school, some of which you've already heard, but I'm going to go through everything just to make sure everyone has a clear understanding. Feel free to continue typing your questions in the chat. I will try to cover everything. And for the admissions questions that have not already been answered, I will cover those as well. So just to begin, as Professor Hilary mentioned earlier, admission requirements for our JD program: bachelor's degree with a minimum GPA of 3 from a recognized university. And again, for the JD program, there is no specific requirement in terms of a field. If you have a background in law, if you have a background in medicine, background in engineering, I mean, we've literally had people applying and being admitted from all sorts of different backgrounds, which makes for, as you can imagine, a very interesting class. So moving on to the next slide, where I'm going to tell you a little bit about admission requirements for the LLM, which are a little bit more specific. So for international economic and business law, you must have studied law, so either a bachelor's degree in law or a JD. Again, minimum is 3. So the 3 minimum is actually across the entire university, but with the LLM programs, a preference is given to those who have at least a 3.3. But even if you don't, you can still apply. For international law and foreign affairs, slightly more flexibility. So applicants, and all of this is on our website, so don't feel like you have to take notes or write any of this down. But if you've studied law, international relations, political science, history, related fields, those would be accepted. Again, preference is given to law, international relations, political science, and economics. So moving on, I'm going to tell you a little bit about requirements for the SJD program. So again, you have to have studied law to do this program, either a JD or an LLM. Again, as Professor George mentioned, preference is for graduates of HBKU College of Law, either graduates from the LLM or the JD program. And again, preference to those who have at least a 3.3, but candidates between 3 and 3.3 will be considered. English proficiency. So minimum score is 6 for IELTS, 79 for TOEFL. Exemption is possible, All of the details of that are mentioned on our website, but I'm just going to take you through it. So if you studied in English, completely in English, and you can provide us with a letter from your university confirming that, then you would be exempt. So if you can provide a letter with your application, then you do not need to take the IELTS or TOEFL. If you studied in another language, or if your degree was bilingual in 2 languages, we will ask that you submit an IELTS or a TOEFL score to us, please. Somebody had a specific question about Qatar University Engineering Program. Students from that program are exempt because it's taught in English. So moving on, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about kind of the process to apply. The application, online application, is on our website. It's very accessible. If you have any questions at all, you can email us. I'll type our email in the chat, and it's also at the end of this presentation. So once you submit the online application, you'll be asked to attach multiple documents. Please try to make sure you attach everything at once. That will just make it much easier for us to follow your application and review it. We definitely need all of your transcripts. So wherever you've studied post high school, for bachelor's, master's, whatever types of degrees you've done, we need to see grades from all of those. If you, for example, were at a community college or did an associate's degree and then went on and continued for a bachelor's degree at another university, we need to see everything, please. Or if you're applying to SJD, don't just assume that we need your latest degree. We need your bachelor's degree transcript as well. If you are applying from a university where your GPA or your cumulative or overall average is not on a 4.0 scale, please provide us with a grading scale from the university. Pretty much all registrar offices have those. A lot of you may have it on your transcript. If it's on your transcript, you do not need to provide it. If you can't find it, please look at the back of your transcript, check online, or just contact your university registrar. If you need any help or need further clarification, I'm happy to sort of advise you on that by email. So IELTS score or exemption letter, as discussed earlier, you need to submit a personal statement. That's different than the research proposal, okay? Personal statement, you talk about yourself, you talk about your background, what you've done in your life, why you're interested in the program that you're applying to, and very important is how is this program going to help you in whatever your future career goals or plans are. Again, if you have more questions, just email me about the personal statement. You need to submit a copy of your passport. If you live in Qatar, so if you're a national or resident of Qatar, you do need to submit a copy of your ID as well, a copy of your CV, and then 2 recommendation letters, okay? So the recommendation letter system, if you've applied previously, it's a little bit different this year. Once you submit your online application, you will receive a confirmation. There will be a page that comes up as soon as you hit submit with a link to the online reference form, okay? So you're gonna go into that link. You will also receive the link by email once you apply with a confirmation, thank you for applying, and then you'll find a link. So please click on that. You'll be asked to provide names and emails of your referees, the people who are going to write the recommendations for you. Please speak to them before you do that, because sometimes we get referees contacting us saying, oh, somebody asked me to write this, but they haven't talked to me. So please make sure you speak to them before you send in this request. If you have been out of school out of university, excuse me, for a very long time, for the LLM and JD programs, it is possible to submit recommendations from employers, so employers or people you have worked with. Preference is always to have at least one academic one, at least one from a professor. But again, if you've been, you've graduated more than 10 years ago, you're not in touch with any of your professors anymore, it would be fine to have them from people that you've worked with. Research proposal is required for both the LLM and the SJD programs. If you need more information, you need some guidance, you have questions, please email the admissions email and we will contact somebody at the college who could provide you with a little bit more information about that, or you could ask now. Admissions deadline is February 1 for international applicants. That's quite soon. Please make sure you apply February 1. Please don't contact us on February 2 saying you want to apply, because the application will be closed. Residents and Qataris have until March 15 to apply. Okay, now this deadline is especially important if you're applying to the JD or SJD and you're interested in being considered for funding. For the LLM program, that's not the case because, as mentioned, we do not have funding for the LLM program. I'm just going to take a quick look at my notes to see if there's anything that I haven't covered here. Somebody asked about face-to-face, like a face-to-face meeting to talk about admissions. We are actually working remotely at the moment because of the pandemic. However, just email us. Sandy, if you wouldn't mind just pulling up the next slide. Our email address is here, and we could organize something on Teams or on Zoom, whatever works. So just please send us an email, and we'd be happy to chat with you further if you have other admissions questions or need help with applying or anything. I'll also type the email in the chat. I don't know if there were any other questions related to admissions here. Okay, somebody said that they've submitted their reference list but want to change one of their referees. If you've submitted it already, it's probably already gone to them. If there's somebody else that you would like to write a letter for you, you could submit the form again, or just have them email the form to the admissions email the recommendation, and we can just add it to your folder if you'd like. That's only if you're submitting a third one, not for the first two. So if you're submitting one of the first two, it has to go through our system. I'm just looking at the questions here. I don't think there's anybody else, any other questions, excuse me. But if there are, I would be happy to answer those. I'm just going to type in the chat the email address so everybody has that as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Lana. You saw that we were saving the best for last with Lana. That's why we kept you all the way until the end. Sorry about that. So Lana responded to all questions on admissions specifically, but please do take advantage of the remaining couple of minutes to ask more questions if you have. Please feel free to type them in the Q&A section. So there's one more question on leave of absence, namely, if you enroll in one of the programs, right, and then something happens, right, you have to go to the army. We've had to deal with this in the past, or family and other reasons. The university policy allows you to leave for 1 or 2 semesters and then come back and in a way back to the same status as the one that you left that you left in, right? So you're practically reinstated as a student if you are to leave for 1 or 2 semesters. So we have a leave of absence policy. So this there's nothing to worry about that. And at our college we've had it at least twice, I believe. So,
just to chime in on that, George, that with the JD, with the structure, if you take a leave of absence, it has to be for 2 semesters because the following semester has prerequisite subjects. So if you complete 1 semester, take a leave of absence, semester 2 will run in the spring. And so you have to wait the year you need to take the 2 semesters because the courses are all followed sequentially on the JD. So semester 2 has a prerequisite for semester 1, semester 3 prerequisite. Easy for me to say for semester 2.
Perfect, exactly. So, and I guess the same would apply for the LLM program, right? Because most of our courses are in a way set. Right, even though in the LLM
there are core courses for the LLM which would have to be completed fall and spring, and the courses with the law program entirely, we don't run courses spring and fall. If they run in the spring, they only run in the spring.
Perfect, exactly right. We do have a couple of questions on the SJD research proposal, right? So as well as a couple of questions, prospective students of ours, are asking whether, in my case, would be possible to, to consider me if, I am doing this and that and so on and so forth. Look, the simple answer here is that, all applications obviously will be considered so long as you have a minimum of 3.0 GPA, right? All, we promise all applications will be considered. But again, because of, the selective nature of the SJD program specifically, right? 3 to 5 students, Obviously, all applications will be considered, but, we have to follow our rules here, right? Namely, if we have candidates from one of our LLM programs and or the JD program, we are going to have to follow our rules, right? This is what this is meant to say. Now, when it comes to the research proposal, as you've seen, both for our LLM programs as well as for our SJD program, we've added one additional requirement in the admissions process, not to make Lana's life more difficult, but in order for us to be able to be in the position to better assess each application, because the programs are really very selective. Now, what we will want to see there is the general ability of the candidate, right, to engage academically, scientifically in a legal topic, right? So, there has to be what you have to define is, the title and the broader area in which, you're interested in that you're interested working in, as well as we have to be in the position to see the extent to which you can use different methodologies to develop your topic, as well as general broader familiarity with legal language, as well as referencing in law, using such tools as Oscola and or the Blue Book. Okay, but what we really want to see here is a general ability to engage academically, scientifically with a legal matter. Okay, so there are many different ways to demonstrate that. We've been asked before to kind of give to set general guidelines on how to draft a research proposal, but frankly, this is part of the assessment process, right? The way in which a student is in the position to present a legal topic. I try to be as concrete as I could. I'm sure have not satisfied everybody, but please, do feel free to reach out to me, as well as any other of my colleagues, on this or any other matter. We've had this before. I know these have been the most successful applications, students that have a real interest reaching out to us, asking the extent to which a certain topic would work for the college, for us, and at the end of the day for them. There was a question, and I believe Sandia responded to that already, about our study plans. All our study plans are at your disposal. Obviously, Sandia, if you could go to the slide where our prospective candidates here, would have the chance to find your email, because you can reach out to Sandia, and Sandia will be very happy to share with you any of our study plans.
Thanks, George. I just put down my email address as well in the chat
Perfect.
box, so everybody who's interested in receiving it can email me.
We mentioned there was one question on the tuition waiver, both for the SJD as well as for the JD program, right? The tuition waiver is set at 80%. And the
Has
tuition...
that been confirmed for the JD for this year? Do you know? Lana, do we have info on that? Just checking if that has been officially confirmed.
I don't know about the waivers.
There will be a partial waiver, but I'm not sure if for the JD we yet have confirmation on how much it will be.
This is my sense, right? This is...
I mean, potentially, yes, but like just to be absolutely clear, we don't have a confirm on that. Or if we do, it's passed me by just for the lawyer in me and for the purpose of precision.
Hilary, would you like to take up this question by Kristen? Is it feasible to pursue the JD while working full-time?
Lots of our students work full-time. The majority of our students are full-time employees and parents, so doubly fully employed and then commit to the full-time law degree. Another few questions of, do we have to attend class from 4 p.m? Yes, attendance is a requirement for the JD. On occasion, your professor will offer a class online. If the class is not being offered online by the professor for the full class, attendance is required in line with the ministry requirements. Someone has said they understand HBKU is not an accredited university. That's a fundamental misunderstanding. HBKU is an accredited university, and any degrees from HBKU will be recognised by foreign institutions. The JD has already been recognised by the Geneva Institute for Graduate Studies, Harvard Law School, NYU, Duke, Georgetown have all taken on JD graduates from HBKU on the basis of their JD. Someone has asked a question about any further courses required if you're Qatari, you get the JD and you want to practice as a lawyer in Qatar. At present, yes, you would take 12 weeks of short courses of additional courses that we mentioned earlier. That would be things like nationality law, family law specific to Qatar. If you would like more information about that, please feel free to contact me directly and I can give you information about that additional supplementary program.
Perfect. Let us take up, if we may, a couple more questions. So if I take an LLM in international relations and foreign affairs, am I able, in international law and foreign affairs, am I able to finalize the program in less than 12 months and further progress into the SJD? Yes, yes. So in fact, the first student that ever graduated, from that program finished the program in 8 months. Okay, so and then she started further pursuing a doctoral degree in international relations, in fact, at Oxford. So yes, you can. And in fact, we had rather that you finish sooner rather than later. That is just the truth of the matter. Lana, Allah is saying that there is no place to upload the research proposal online.
I believe there is. I believe there is. Okay, I can look into that. But
okay, so
check,
I'm sure Lana will check this, and it will be corrected if there may be any problem. But we've had this before. It's maybe the layout of the website that sometimes does not allow you to find the specific space to upload the research proposal. But generally it should be there.
Maybe that's an entry requirement that you're able to find it. You guys set it up that way.
Thought of it
but really limit the applicants that can upload the proposal.
There was a question by Mona that I saw about the extent to which QF employees, right, can get tuition waivers. HBKU or QF employees receive exemptions, financial fee aid for fees. This is what we call here tuition waivers, right? So like any other candidate, I should say, right? So this is, as Hilary said before, merits based. All our tuition waivers, as per our HBKU policy, are merit based. In fact, your file will suggest the extent to which you're eligible for the tuition waiver, right?
Yeah. Wouldn't automatically get a waiver based on working with HBKU or QF, but you would be as entitled to a waiver as anybody else.
I believe that's it, right?
Ta-da!
So is the College of Law supporting joint research publications with colleagues who are not part of HBKU but are working in research teaching in Qatar? So, and there was another question about research, generally speaking, right? Look, HBKU, generally speaking, is a research-led, research-oriented university, right? So, we applaud it, we incentivize it, we nudge our students towards, conducting research at the highest level. The LLM programs and the SJD program are made for this very reason, right? To produce high-level research, individually as well as with other colleagues in Qatar or elsewhere. Okay, so that's one thing. Even for our JD program, that, as Hilary explained, is a professional degree in law, many of our courses include a research component, and on top of it, we have recently introduced a new course called Independent Study that gives the student, any student that wishes to do so, to conduct research in an area of their choice. Okay, so we definitely invite students to apply that have a deep interest in research either individually and or with other colleagues, either based in Qatar and or based abroad, okay? So, and Mona is asking about standardized testing.
Just typed a response to that, but I don't know where it's gone because I can't see it. And I managed to misspell the word English twice, but I caught it. The only standardised testing is if you don't hold a previous degree that you undertook in the English language, you would need your IELTS. But that's the only standardised testing requirement. The main requirement is the 3.0 GPA. The IELTS obviously is very important. It's essential, or a previous degree in English language.
I believe this covers it all, right? Elana, is there anything else that you would like to add?
No.
Perfect. So, Hilary, what about you?
No, all good. If you're applying for the JD, I would say please take some time and put some effort into your personal statement. This will be crucial in determining our understanding of why you want to do the degree, and is likely to be decisive in determining if you're accepted or not, providing you meet the entry requirements. Failing which, please feel free to email me directly. My email address has been made available in this presentation and is easily accessible on the website.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Hilary. Also, on my behalf, my special thanks to Lana, special thanks to Hilary, special thanks to all colleagues and the Dean that, you know, made this happen, as well as obviously as a Dean and Sandia. We wouldn't have been able to make it without them, as well as our whole communications team here at HBKU. And obviously, a huge thanks to everybody that participated today and shows an interest in our programs. So our goal is to be and become a community of lawyers here in Qatar and beyond. So do feel free to reach out to us for any question that you may have on any of the programs. You know, the ones present now, as well as, you know, anybody from the college will be extremely happy to respond, engage with you, have a call with you, and, you know, hopefully meet you in person very soon, as well as, you know, seeing you very soon as our students at HBKU College of Law. Many thanks to everybody, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.